The expansion of Medicaid in the state of Georgia.
It's a reliable applause line for Democrat Stacey Abrams. Expanding Medicaid, she says, would ensure the health of 500,000 more Georgians and create 56,000 jobs from a federal health program Georgia taxpayers are supporting but aren't benefiting from.
We've already had 7 rural hospitals shut down because of Georgia's failure to accept the money that Georgia has already paid into the system.
And it's an argument that has failed to sway the Republicans who run the state capitol, like Brian Kemp, who talks less about health care and more about protecting taxpayers, whom he calls hardworking Georgians. The issues page of Kemp's website has 7 words about health care: improve access to health care and lower health care costs, without much more detail. Kemp is opposed to expanding Medicaid, which he calls a step toward a single-payer health care system that he says would bankrupt our state while making it harder for hardworking Georgians to receive the care they need. As you might expect, Abrams takes issue with that.
It is both naive and willfully ignorant to think that the people who get access to Medicaid expansion are not hardworking Georgians.
I know plenty of Republicans I serve with that want Medicaid expanded. They just dare not go against the Kool-Aid drinkers, that lock down on this for pure politics.
However, Georgia Republicans say Medicaid expansion is wildly unpopular at the Capitol. However, when 11 Alive News polled voters on that question in 2014, 59% of them said they favored Medicaid expansion in Georgia. Doug Richards, 11 Alive News.